The NFL draft is over, and now it's our turn. Hi, I'm Jamey Eisenberg. He's Dave Richard. We're senior fantasy writers at CBS Sportsline, and we're doing our own expert mock fantasy draft to help you guys out and let you know how your draft maybe should look in July, August. You know, for some users, it's even now. So if you want to take a look, check it out on CBS Sportsline. But let's get right into it. Let's take a look at the first round, starting with obviously number 1, LaDainian Tomlinson. Steven Jackson, maybe a little bit of surprise number 2, but we like him there. Shaun Alexander, a definite shock at number 3 as Larry Johnson falls to 4. Willie Parker, number 5, and Frank Gore coming in at number 6. Dave, what happened to Larry Johnson, and why is he falling in some drafts?
Well, the question here, rather, isn't why is he number 4, it's why is he number 3, because whoever got him at 4, they really lucked out. Larry Johnson is going to have his reps watched a little bit in Kansas City. He had over 400 rushes last year. They don't want to do that again. Michael Bennett, Colby Smith is going to get in there. You're looking at who the next best running back is going to be. Of these 3 guys, Steven Jackson and Shaun Alexander are more likely to have 400 touches, whereas Larry Johnson, it's 375. Now, we're talking about 25 carries or 25 receptions or whatever, a combo of the two. Bottom line is this. If Larry Johnson has 375 touches and he averages 4 yards a touch, that's still 1,500 yards. That's still a lot of fantasy points. He's going to get a ton of touchdowns. You're good to go even if you get him at 3. Just LaDainian Tomlinson, Steven Jackson, just a little bit better than him.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to Steven Jackson, the upside is huge, and if you're looking at keeper leagues, that's the guy you want to jump on.
Even bigger because he's younger.
Absolutely, 100%. Let's take a look at the next 6 picks. Dave, why don't you run those down?
Well, we got Joseph Adai, 7th overall. A lot of people are going to look at that and think surprise. But the bigger surprise to us is Ronnie Brown at 8. We didn't think he should go that high. Brian Westbrook at 9. Travis Henry at 10. Rudy Johnson, almost a sure thing in fantasy football, goes 11. And Willis McGahee at 12. Jamey, someone's missing from this list, a quarterback. You might have heard of him. Peyton Manning, why isn't he in the top 12?
Well, again, it depends on your league. It depends on how many players that you're playing with. But certainly Peyton Manning should go anywhere from 8 to 12. And again, if he's going to fall somewhere where we'll take a look in the next round, he's going to fall probably right outside the first round. But it depends on how much you value quarterbacks, how much you get per touchdown, because certainly if it's 6, as Dave and I we're talking off camera,
sure,
that Peyton Manning's value is going to be huge. But he's a candidate for 40 touchdowns, 4,000 yards. He plays in that offense, those great receivers, and certainly with Joseph Adai getting better, that's only going to open things up.
Right, and in this league, you get 6 points for every touchdown, which is big. So if you've got Peyton Manning in this kind of league, you're in good shape. Okay, next 6 picks in the draft coming at you here. So this is the second round. Peyton Manning, finally, he goes 13th overall. Great spot to be in if you're in that 12th, 13th spot, because this is a snake draft. So they got Peyton Manning there. Jamal Lewis, huge surprise at 14th overall. We don't condone that at all, especially ahead of guys like Reggie Bush, Lawrence Maroney, Edgerrin James, Clinton Portis. All 4 of those guys easily should go ahead of Jamal Lewis, although Lewis is running behind a better offensive line and should see the bulk of the carries in Cleveland.
Certainly the second-year guys are starting to come off the board. Adai, as you mentioned, was a little bit of a surprise in the first round, but that's where he's starting to get a look at again because of the Colts offense. Reggie Bush, obviously the potential is huge coming off the year. The way he finished especially, catches the ball, and now that Joe Horn is gone, he's going to probably be asked to catch the ball a little bit more. And then we have, obviously, Lawrence Maroney coming off an injury, had a decent rookie season, but that offense is going to be huge now that Randy Moss is there. Dante Stallworth, Wes Welker, going to be a great year for the Patriots. But again, let's take a look at the rest of the second round, starting with Cadillac Williams going at 19. Cadillac should be in for a bounce-back season. Tom Brady, as we just talked about, going to have a big year with those receivers. Cedric Benson becomes a starter in Chicago, should be in line for another big season. Carson Palmer, coming back from the knee injury 2 years ago, had a great year last year. Deuce McAllister at 23, and Chad Johnson, another Bengal at 24. So the Bengals are coming off the board, Dave.
Well, of course, because that's where the offense is, and it's a high-powered one. So, of course, that's where it's going to go. Now, the big question here, and this is a question we get a lot, if someone's going to pick number 1 overall in their draft, they're going to know right off the bat, LaDainian Tomlinson's my guy. What do I do next with that second pick and that third pick? And the answer is simply, you take the 2 best players off the board, but you kind of have to watch what happens in round 2. Now, in this draft, you saw that a lot of running backs went. The first wide receiver to go off the board was Chad Johnson, and a decent spot there. If you had taken Tomlinson in round 1, he's kind of a running back and a half. You could get Chad Johnson and Marvin Harrison back-to-back 2 and 3. You're not going to get a shot at getting another good wide receiver because they're all going to go in round 3 and right back again in round 4. If you load up on wide receiver in 2 and 3, assuming none have gone off the board and a lot of running backs have gone off the board, you're going to look like a genius because you're going to have LaDainian Tomlinson and you'll have some combination of Chad Johnson, Marvin Harrison, Torrey Holt, and then you go pick up a running back in round 4 and round 5. You've got a really solid core there for your fantasy.
The only thing you want to take a look at it, depending on which quarterbacks are still there, and obviously if somebody gets through one of those big running backs, in this case to start the third round, the person who drafted first ended up with Thomas Jones at Chad Johnson.
Right.
So that was not necessarily a bad pick, but again, Marvin Harrison was there, Torrey Holt was there. So whoever was picking first could have really knocked out two really good positions with LaDainian Tomlinson and then the
I'll tell you what, Thomas Jones is a good running back. I'd rather have Marvin Harrison.
I think I would agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Again, please feel free to check out the draft at CBS Sportsline and also email us and tell us how we're doing. Dave, speaking of emails, let's take a look at something that a reader wrote in and wanted us to find out. Barry from Philadelphia wants to know, Keyshawn Johnson is unemployed right now. Normally people without jobs have no fantasy football value. But what about a guy who's coming off a 70-reception, 815-yard season? Dave, what do you think about Keyshawn, and where do you think he's going to end up?
Well, I think Keyshawn Johnson still has gas in the tank, and that's really important because somebody's going to come up and sign him. Moreover, it's going to be a playoff team that needs a wide receiver with solid hands. Keyshawn can deliver that. He's a nice big target. He's not going to be running go routes anymore. He's more of a possession type, but he's going to bring 50 to 60 receptions to an offense this year. As long as the quarterback's good, he's going to be good, just like he was in Carolina, number 3 fantasy wide receiver.
Did he ever run go routes?
I think he did at some point with the Jets. I know he did at USC.
At USC, I think, but
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think he's what we call a possession receiver.
Yes, yes.
But again, Keyshawn is not the only free agent who's out there. Certainly, Corey Dillon still is not on the hone. Kevin Barlow, Eric Moulds, Antonio Bryant dealing with a suspension, but he's still available. Dominic Williams now has been kicked out of Houston because of Amon Green, and Trent Green is still going to probably be let go of Kansas City at some point and may end up in Miami, which could lead to Dante Culpepper going somewhere else. So there's still some moves that could possibly happen.
Lots of chain reaction going on, and that's why football's so great, because even the offseason is a season.
Absolutely, and that's why you should continue to check out CBS Sportsline, and we will tell you what's going on and the impact that it has on your fantasy team. Again, please feel free to email us. As you can see, we're going to read it on air. DM fantasyfootball@cbs.com. For Dave Richard, I'm Jamey Eisenberg. See you next time.